How about those Colorado Rockies? 2 wins in a row for the Rocks as they walk it off tonight in extra innings. Jake Cave, as Ryan Spielborg said there in his on-the-field interview with Mr. Cave, the people's champion, delivering a base hit, RBI, game-winning hit for the Rockies in the 10th inning as they take down the Milwaukee Brewers 8-7. We'll break it all down on tonight's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast as Colorado has got themselves a 2-game winning streak. Stick with us. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rockies postcast, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is your Locked On Rockies postcast. Hope everybody is doing well out there as the Colorado Rockies have won their second consecutive game now, taking down the Milwaukee Brewers by a final score of 8-7. Jake Cave plays hero. You absolutely love to see it as we get this show on the road. And 2 victory shows in a row. You know, I got to enjoy it while I can because the losses will certainly be coming back. But, it looked like one of those games tonight where the Rockies, it might be same old, but to their credit, sticking in there. Drew Goodman on the post-game podcast talking about the perseverance and the tenacity that this team had. And I think that is absolutely the right way to put it as the Rockies earn themselves a walk-off victory over the Milwaukee Brewers. In today's episode of the Locked On Rockies postcast is brought to you by our friends over at Tax Network USA. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait, reduce your tax debt, and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Locked On, and more from our friends over at Tax Network USA in just a moment. But let's get right into it, folks. Let's break down how the Rockies managed to win this ball game because, it was looking a little dicey there for a minute as the Milwaukee Brewers forced this game into extra innings. But the Rockies do just enough for the second game in a row, walk-off fashion, although this one a little bit more satisfying, I would say, as the Rockies yesterday, really just the benefactor of the additional runner on second base. But tonight, a little bit of strategy in play as Jake Cave delivers the game-winning blow there in the 10th inning. And this is how it all played out, guys. So obviously we got to extra innings, and we'll break that down a little bit later on the program in regards to how we got there. But Brendan Rodgers was the pinch runner on second base. And he was quickly replaced by Aaron Schunk as the pitch runner there. Michael Toglia hit a rocket to center field. It was an out, but was able to advance the runner to third base, which is where we find ourselves with consecutive intentional walks, 1 to Brenton Doyle and 1 to Nolan Jones. And you understand the Brenton Doyle decision there. He was absolutely on fire. A couple home runs for him tonight. 3 for 4 in his at-bats, 3 RBI. He was just absolutely on fire. And Nolan Jones has started to heat up a little bit offensively as well. So the Milwaukee Brewers, after the decision to intentionally walk Brenton Doyle, with 1 out in the 10th inning, they, kind of take a look around and say, well, we might as well just give ourselves the force out on any base. So they go ahead and also walk Nolan Jones, which brings up Jake Cave in this instance. And it was interesting. There was a little bit of a controversy, before Jake Cave ended up ending this game with an RBI single. But I believe the controversy that I was kind of just paying attention, getting ready to do the show, and I looked up, and Buddy Black was on the field. A bit upset, I believe, at the fact that the Milwaukee Brewers were able to trot out a couple of coaches as opposed to just one to visit with their relief pitcher at that time. And thankfully, it does not matter. Buddy was a little irked at that, letting the umpire, asking for some clarification, asking for some questions. Not sure what the penalty would have been there. So I don't know if the Rockies certainly wouldn't have gotten a run home in that instance, had the Brewers been breaking the rules, I don't think. That would have been funny. Imagine the Rockies win on a walk-off pitch clock violation, then a walk-off coaching violation. That would be a first for probably any Major League Baseball team. As we know, the Rockies were the first team to be the benefactor of a walk-off pitch clock violation. Still can't believe that. But with the bases loaded and 1 out, remember here, you got a runner on third and then Brenton Doyle on second and Nolan Jones on first from the consecutive intentional walks. That brings up Jake Cave. And, Cave is one of those typical journeyman type of players that the Rockies usually find themselves with for a year or two. as they piece their rosters together in what seems to be a year in and year out basis. But he wins. I feel like he's starting to win some fans over, and tonight is just another feather in his cap as he takes the first pitch that he sees for a ride to right center field, and it was a line drive. You knew it was going to fall off the bat, and that is indeed what happened as Jake Cave plays the role of hero tonight as the Rockies walk it off in the 10th inning off of his RBI single and win this game 8-7. The Rockies improve to 29-55, Milwaukee at 50-35. And this is a quality win for the Rockies. Look, I know that series against the Chicago White Sox and the 2 game set that they played against the Houston Astros, was anything but good for this Rockies club. But good on them. You'll take the wins any way that you can get them at this point in the season if you're Colorado. And like I said, they're kind of the benefactors of the rules because it seemed like yesterday's game against the White Sox was destined for 15 plus innings with the pace at which those teams were going. But tonight, bouncing back after coming back from an absolutely abysmal road trip, taking on a team in the Brewers that is currently in first place in the National League Central Division. You got to give a tip of the cap for the Rockies for coming out and playing hard today. And look, it is July, gone is June, where the Rockies, I believe, won something like 7 games in the entire month. So, hopefully turn to the page. They had a winning month in May. As we mentioned, June was absolutely abysmal. But hopefully this is a sign of things to come, and as hopefully the Rockies can be a little bit more competitive in this month. But like I said, all in all, just a good performance from them. They generate the offense finally came to life tonight. Obviously 8 runs for them, but 13 hits. This is a Rockies club that I want to say had something like 7 hits in their first 2 games over that series against the Chicago White Sox. So nearly double that in just 1 game back at Coors Field tonight. So hopefully a little bit of a reset period here for the Rockies offense as they find themselves now with consecutive home series, 2 more against the Milwaukee Brewers before they welcome in another good team in the Kansas City Royals. So hopefully, this, I believe, what is it, a 6 or 7 game homestand for the Rockies, I believe, can yield some more positivity for them offensively because Lord knows they need it. It has been abysmal. But tonight, that was not the case as they generate 13 hits and score 8 runs off of those 13 hits. Jake Cave, the hero of the game, was 2 for 5 tonight. And like I said, sometimes guys like Jake Cave and some of these random, I hate to refer to them as stragglers, but that's what they kind of are. These guys that have bounced around the league a little bit, in their late 20s, early mid 30s and whatnot, just kind of looking for a home. They can get overlooked. And, one thing that I noticed is you're obviously always going to be hyped when you have a walk-off hit. But Jake Cave has really brought some energy to this team. And I know that's maybe hard to believe when the records and the results have been as bad as they have been as of late. When I think back to the handful of games that I've been to this season as credentialed media, and, Jake Cave is one of those guys that's always keeping the clubhouse loose. He seems to be a clubhouse favorite, a clubhouse guy, has good relationship with a lot of the guys in that clubhouse. And, he was pumped up after the game and everybody just kind of rushing to him. Obviously got the Gatorade bath. He seems to be a little bit of an emotional leader for this Rockies club. And like I said, the results make it seem like it doesn't matter if they have an emotional leader or not. But, he's been one of these guys that I think has really found a nice spot in this clubhouse. And look, like I said, you'll take the wins any way you can get them. And JK even mentioned it, in his post-game interview with Ryan Spilborghs, when the 2 batters in front of you are walked to essentially get to you because they think the other team thinks that you're going to be an easier out than the 2 guys in front of you, that puts a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And Jake Cave is one of those guys that thrives with the intensity and thrives when he has a chip on his shoulder. And, it's, I think, a little poetic that he steps right up there, confidence, gets into his batting stance and rips that first pitch that he sees for an RBI single and is the hero tonight for the Rockies. And, he's been a real energizer for this team all season long. But I feel like specifically, fans have started to take notice since that check swing situation that happened against the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago. But good on Jake Cave, good on the Rockies as they get the win tonight against a pretty darn good Milwaukee Brewers team who are now 50-35 on the year. The Rockies improved to 29-55. But all right, let's hit our first break. When we come back, let's dive into the starting pitching matchups from tonight's game. Austin Gomber was all right. He wasn't bad by Rocky standards. Actually did a good job early in this one. And, that the first inning has been an absolute plague for him. So we'll talk about that. The bullpen was also a disaster tonight, but thankfully it did. Only one pitcher was really a disaster, rather, I guess you could say, for the Rockies. But, all in all, Like I said, you'll take the wins any way you can get them if you're Colorado. And tonight they get one in extra innings with a walk-off RBI single from Jake Cave. Win this game 8-7. Stick with us. Back in just a minute or so right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast, talking all things Rocks after their walk-off victory tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, y'all. Let's get this graphic up. Let me tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks real quick, because Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. And you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And if you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to helping your lineup hit or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Our friends over at Prize Picks have you covered all the time with the promotions. And with the finals over, the hoops action does not stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is still heating up, with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside the greats like Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out on Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for your shot at turning $10 into $1,000. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first-time deposit match of up to $100. That's LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with our friends over at Prize Picks. And be sure to download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first-time deposit match of up to $1,000. All right, and let me also tell you about our friends over at Tax Network USA, because here on the Locked On Rockies postcast, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round, and we get you sports fans out there. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over does not mean the IRS will stop coming after you for your unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549 or 549-1000. That's 1-800-549-1000, or visit tnusa.com, and be sure to mention Locked On Rockies at your checkout, and you'll receive a $250 discount off of their services. Again, folks, that is our friends over at Tax Network USA. Visit them at tnusa.com/lockedon or call 1-800-549-1000 to get started with our friends over at Tax Network USA today. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. Be sure to follow me on social media at Media by AP. And while we're on it, make sure to subscribe to this Locked On Denver Sports YouTube channel, as we're going to be here just after about each and every Colorado Rockies game the rest of the way, breaking down what we just saw. Thankfully, tonight it's a win, but make sure to subscribe to that Locked On Denver Sports YouTube channel so that way you never miss an episode. But as promised, let's talk about Austin Gomber's outing tonight here on the Locked On Rockies postcast. And he was fine, by Rockies standards. You'll take this, pretty much time in and time out, especially if it's going to lead to victories. He gets you 6 innings, so a little bit of depth there from Austin Gomber, which is great. And he gives us 9 hits, so a little steep there, 4 earned runs, no walks, which is great. The Rockies only had 2 walks collectively as a pitching staff tonight, which is great for them. and he has 3 strikeouts. He does give up 1 home run, but his ERA now sitting at 4.72. But all in all tonight for Austin Gomber, a pretty solid outing, all things considered, I would say. And Gomber, we talked about it after his last start. Was that maybe against the Astros, I want to say, if memory serves me correctly? His big problem has been the first inning. And thankfully tonight, I know that the bullpen almost blew it a little bit later in the game. The Rockies did a good job of providing Austin Gomber, with some run support out of the gate. The Rockies had themselves an early lead in this game, which, I think helped maybe settle in Austin Gomber a little bit. And look, I know he's the starting pitcher for the home team, so he's going to have to, go out there and face the first 3, batters of the game before his team gets an opportunity to put up some runs. But I think that the Rockies were able to lead this game early, 3-0 there after 3 innings. I definitely think helps settle down Austin Gomber a little bit as this game progressed throughout the night. And he did run into some trouble in the 4th inning. Let's break that down for you. William Contreras had a leadoff single to left field. Christian Yelich and then had a left line drive to left field as well. So back-to-back singles off of Austin Gomber there in that 4th inning. Then Willie Adames, another single, this time to center field. And then Jackson Chourio with an RBI single to left field. That brought home 2 runs for Milwaukee there. That was the initial 2 runs that they scored before they put on another one with Rhys Hoskins grounded into a double play, but also got the run home, in this situation for the Rockies. Or excuse me, I'm tripping here. I'm reading this incorrectly. Blake Perkins had an RBI single that ended up scoring a run, and that made it 3-3 in the 4th inning there. So he did run into some speed bumps, did Austin Gomber. And it's always been a death. Recently, it seems like it's been a death by paper cuts type of situation for him. I remember in his last start, he got absolutely shelled in that 1st inning, but I believe each base hit and each run that he gave up in that outing was via a single. So, you can only do so much where maybe you get a little bit unlucky. And look, I don't think that was the case necessarily tonight. Gomber's got to work on his pitch location, his velocity, his mechanics, all that good stuff as well. But it was another death by paper cuts outing for Austin Gomber. And outside of that, I think he did a pretty decent job. Milwaukee came back in the 5th inning. William Contreras hit a solo home run for an additional run at that point, which put the Brewers up 4-3. But after that, smooth sailing for the most part for Austin Gomber. So, a tough 4th and 5th inning for him, but for the most part does his job as he goes, 6 pretty solid innings for the Rockies tonight. Again, this is by Rocky standards. So 9 hits, 4 earned runs, that's probably a subpar night, for most teams in Major League Baseball. But for the Rockies, you'll take it right now with how things have been going. And like I said, thankfully, the offense was able to pick him up tonight. Let's take a look at some of this box score here. Charlie Blackmon come on down today on his 38th birthday. Had a home run in this game, a couple of hits as well. He's hitting 260 on the year, but 5 plate appearances for Mr. Blackmon. He's been great for the Rockies this season. And if this is his swan song, if this really is it for Charlie Blackmon, he's not going out sorry. He's obviously not the Charlie Blackmon that, all the Rockies fans had come to know and love, last decade and on those playoff teams and whatnot, but he's still bringing that intensity in his own way on a night in and night out basis. And he was phenomenal tonight once again for the Rockies. And he would have been due up next had JK flown out or something like that and not scored the winning run. So that would have been interesting. Ezekiel Tovar, rough night at the office, 2 strikeouts tonight, 0 for 5 on the evening. Ryan McMahon with a base hit in RBI. Elias Diaz with a base hit in this game. Brendan Rodgers tonight, folks, staying hot in 3 plate appearances. He also had 2 walks, so 5 total appearances, but 3 official at-bats. He has 2 hits, a run scored, and an RBI. His batting average is now up to 284. So I'm not going to beat the trade discussion to a pulp on this episode, but if Brendan Rodgers is truly a trade candidate for the Rockies, he is playing his best ball right now since coming back from that injury. So that is good to see with Brendan Rodgers tonight with a couple of base hits and RBI and drawn 2 walks as well. Toglia 0 for tonight, but as we mentioned, Brenton Doyle, he was phenomenal tonight with 3 hits. Ended up drawing a walk, which was the intentional walk as well. 3 RBI. Nolan Jones with a pair of hits and an RBI as well. And Jake Cave with 2 hits. And most importantly, the game-winning base hit for the Rockies as they win this game 8-7. So a pretty thorough effort from Colorado tonight in the lineup offensively. Some multi-hit games. Let's see, 1, two, three, four. That's 5 players with the Rockies that had a multi-hit game in this instance. Charlie Blackmon with a pair of hits. Brendan Rodgers with a pair of hits. Let me see here. Yeah, Brenton Doyle with 3 hits. Nolan Jones with a pair of hits, and Jake Cave with a pair of hits as well. So, a good, strong showing from this Rockies offense tonight across the board for the most part, as they back up their starting pitcher, Austin Gomber, for an 8-7 victory. You love to see it. But, all right, let's hit our final break. When we come back, we will put a bow on the show. I'm looking to my right now. Austin Gomber speaking with the media. Be sure to pick up on that after I do this podcast, see if he had anything interesting to say. But now that I'm looking at the sequence here, the little highlight reel that they put together, a lot of weak contact for Austin Gomber. The curveball was working for him tonight. Some good action on that. A lot of delayed swings from the Brewers. A lot of check swings for the Brewers tonight as well. And just overall, a pretty solid job for Austin Gomber. So hopefully a sign of things to come, as I said, as he tries to settle back into a groove after a rough month of June. But let's hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show, talk about Brenton Doyle and company as the Rockies win this game in extra innings by a final score of 8-7. And let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, guys. I love sports. I love them so much that I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up my bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. Again, FanDuel is hooking up all customers, not just me, not just you. Every customer who plays with FanDuel is going to get hooked up with a boost or a bonus daily. Be sure to check them out at FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And look, you've still got the Euro Cup. You got the Copa America. I know the Stars and the Stripes just got bounced from that. But there are plenty of things to get your action down. And we got the UFC. There's cars basically every weekend. The tennis, the golf. Get your NBA futures in. Get your NFL futures in. Our fans over at FanDuel.com do an absolutely sensational job of the modern era of sports betting. Check them out, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm your host, Aniello Piro. Be sure to follow me on social media at Media by AP and subscribe to this brand spanking new Locked On Denver Sports YouTube channel. And I'm on just about each and every Rockies game the rest of the way. I will be out of town for a couple of days this week. I'm heading to Vegas for the 4th of July, but I will be back for the weekend. And we'll be right back at it right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. But appreciate you guys rocking with us on the show today. So we've covered most of it. We've talked about Austin Gomber. We've talked about the lineup. We went in depth on Jake Cave. Let's look at the bullpen here real quick, because the Rockies bullpen almost blew this one today. Anthony Molina would have been the prime suspect for the blown game had it gone that way. He went an inning and a third of relief after Austin Gomber's day was over. He gave out 3 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts for him on his day. He got absolutely shelled. Justin Loris came in relief. He gave him a run that he had inherited, so it wasn't an earned run. As he goes 2/3 of an inning pitch. Excuse me, that was throwing me off there for a second. For Mr. Justin Lawrence, Victor Vodnik with a clean inning, and Tyler Kinley with a clean inning as well, which is always a little dicey. He did have a walk, and the Brewers did find themselves with a couple of opportunities there at the end of the game where, it was looking a little dicey. But thankfully, the Rockies bullpen was able to escape this game with a victory and not spoil what would have been, this would have been a tough pill to swallow for the Rockies had they lost this one, because your offense finally came to life. Brenton Doyle doing his thing. Nolan Jones finding his stroke a little bit. Brendan Rodgers staying hot. And this would have been a tough pill to swallow for the Rockies had they lost this ball game. So nice to see them lock in here, specifically the bullpen that we're talking about right now, to secure this victory for this Rockies club that, like I said, needs wins by any means right now. And look, I know that it's an extra innings, and they probably, the rules, sometimes favor these teams, the home team, whatever it might be. But like I said, benefactors of the extra inning rules 2 games in a row are the Rockies, and you will take it if you're them. But I want to highlight Brenton Doyle a little bit because he has been on fire for the Rockies. Let me pull up his game log real quick. But obviously tonight with the home run, he has just been sensational for this Rockies team. And these are the types of guys that you want on your team for the long haul. He actually struggled against Chicago. I don't know what I'm talking about. But defensively, he's been on fire. I do know that. Made a couple of stellar plays over the weekend against Chicago. But tonight, I think outside of Jake Cave, he's obviously going to be your player of the game. 3 hits tonight for him, 3 RBI, including a home run. He has been sensational. And I just think, whatever happens with the Rockies moving forward, Brenton Doyle and Nolan Jones, who I know has had a tough season, those are 2 guys that I think you want part of your team, over the next 3 or 4 seasons. They're 28, 29 years old right about now, in their careers. So you're going to want those types of guys, those types of players around with guys like Amador and guys like Diaz and guys like Tovar. And whatnot as you move forward here. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I just wanted to give Brenton Doyle his flowers because he's been phenomenal with his glove. But this is a guy in Doyle who's been hitting all around the lineup. He was hitting, towards the top of the lineup. Tonight he's hitting, 6th? Yeah, right in the middle. So he's a guy who's been versatile, and it just it doesn't matter where you put him in this lineup. He's going to figure out a way to get on base, and do some good stuff for you one way or the other. And tonight he does that with the home run and just ferocious at bats tonight from Brenton Doyle. So you'll love to see it. Looking ahead to tomorrow's matchup, it'll be Dallas Keuchel. Oh my gosh, I honestly forgot that Dallas Keuchel was in the league, and he might not be in the league for much longer because his numbers are awful. No, he must not have pitched much this year because he has no decisions at all. 0-0 with an 11.25 ERA and only 4 strikeouts. So let's look this up real quick. I don't think Dallas Keuchel has pitched much if those are his numbers. Let's look at his game log this season. Oh, it looks like this will be only his 2nd start of the year. Yeah, he was shelled against the Texas Rangers in his first start. Let's see here. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, gave up 2 home runs in that game and a walk. So that is who is on the mound for the Brewers tomorrow. Veteran starting pitcher Dallas Keuchel, who got roughed up in his first start of the season. And it'll be Ryan Feltner on the mound for the Rockies. So we'll see what Mr. Feltner has in store. He's 1-7 with a 5.82 earned run average. And his last time out for Mr. Feltner was against the Houston Astros. And he was actually all right. 6 strong innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, or 4 runs, 2 of them earned, and 1 hits batter and 1 walk as well. So it'll be Dallas Keuchel going up against Ryan Feltner tomorrow as the Rockies will look to hopefully solidify a series victory and build some momentum. Could it be 3 wins in a row for the Rockies, dare I say? I heard on the broadcast that this is the first time since May that the Rockies have won consecutive games. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come as, they got a pretty favorable matchup, it appears, in Dallas Keuchel, Coors Field, a little shaky back 9 of his career. Let's see if the Rockies can take advantage of it. But right now, we'll live in the moment, and it was a good one tonight for the Rocks as they take down the Milwaukee Brewers 8-7 and improve to 29-55 on the season. But that is going to do it for me, folks. Want to thank you so much for tuning into tonight's episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast. Always a blast putting them together. And again, you can follow me on social media at Media by AP. And make sure to subscribe to this Locked On Denver Sports YouTube channel. Plenty of content coming down the pipes as we move closer and closer to football and basketball season. And, there's always room for more Rockies content, right? So make sure to subscribe as we'll be here after just about each and every Rockies game the rest of the way, breaking down the game that we just saw. But tonight, it is a victory show as Jake Cave delivers a walk-off victory in the 10th inning. Colorado, the 8-7 victors over the Milwaukee Brewers. Hopefully they can make it 3 in a row tomorrow when these 2 teams continue along with the series. But that's it for me, folks. Appreciate you guys. As always, check me out on social at Media by AP. Good win for the Rocks tonight, and we'll see what they have in store for us mañana. Have a good night, folks.